That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Spirited, the eighth film. The eighth film directed by Sean Anders, which is an Apple original. It is being released theatrically in a limited engagement to November 11th, 2022, before it will be available to stream on Apple TV November 18th.
Do I know any of Sean's films?
Yeah, quite a few of them, I think. He directed Horrible Bosses 2.
Okay.
Both of the Daddy's Home films. That's My Boy with Adam Sandler and Andy Samberg as father and son, if you remember that film. So you're very familiar. It's written by John Morris, who I believe wrote a couple of those, as well as We're the Millers with Jennifer Aniston and Dumb and Dumber 2. Dumb and Dumberer.
Well, I have to say, Spirited won me over. It took about an hour, but it did. So...
Oh, you were not happy for the first hour.
The first hour was hard for me to sit through because it just felt like a Christmas Carol. Mm-hmm. But then there's like a little bit of a twist that sort of punched it up enough that by the end, there were even moments, particularly involving Octavia Spencer, that I kind of felt touched my one feeling. Mm-hmm. But overall, I think it's good.
Yes, it's peddling its wares desperately, much like The Greatest Showman. So if you found yourself kind of getting into that film's spirits, I think you might like Spirited.
Okay, the basic story is it's kind of like A Christmas Carol Part 2 because Will Ferrell plays, we're told, like the man who Ebenezer Scrooge is based on. And he kind of says like, I am that man. And in the film, he is that man, like he looks like him from 200 years ago. But anyway, we're told that, and we don't know this until an hour in, that 3.5 weeks after A Christmas Carol, like the story happens, Ebenezer Scrooge dies. Mm-hmm. And so he goes to like the afterlife to be one of these ghosts who haunt people to help them like be better people.
In a headquarters that's styled not in like a mock-up of the Men in Black headquarters.
So Will Ferrell's character is the ghost of Christmas Present, and he takes on the case of Ryan Reynolds, who's playing like the founder of some company who's like a total douchebag.
Clint Briggs.
And his assistant, Ryan's assistant, is played by Octavia Spencer.
Kimberly.
And she's a good person who's forced to kind of do things she doesn't want to do because her boss is awful.
Like we all do. So
it's not until the hour mark that things sort of switch up, because then we learn about who Will Ferrell really is. And then we really focus on two things. Will Ferrell's character is in love with Octavia Spencer's character.
And who can see him.
Who can see, he makes it so she can, well, it's sort of ambiguous on why she's able to see him, because Ryan is accusing Will of making it so Octavia can see him. But anyway, Will is in love with Octavia, and Will has put in enough time that he can retire. We're told he could have retired 46 years ago. So he finally decides to retire because he wants a chance at being with Octavia. So that's happening, and it is successful. He does retire, gets with her, lives happily ever after. Ryan's character, his sister dies, and she has a daughter. And on his sister's deathbed, she asks Ryan, will you please watch your niece?
Ren.
And he's like, nah, I don't want to raise kids. Why don't you ask our like loser brother? Mm-hmm. So of course the sister's so disappointed. But, you know, the ghost of Christmas Future comes and shows Ryan that your niece, you gave her advice because she's running for student body president or something, that she should run like a smear campaign against her opponent. And we see the future, and she does that, which causes her opponent to commit suicide.
Due to online bullying.
Which is pretty dark. And that sort of changes Ryan's heart a little bit. But what really sends him over the edge to being redeemed is that now that Will Ferrell's character is like a human, Ryan Reynolds jumps in front of a bus to save him because he like wanders off into the street. But as a result, Ryan dies. Mm-hmm. So now he is like the ghost of Christmas Present. And then the final sort of act of the scene of the film is that Ryan Reynolds' character has revamped that world because he wants to expand and go global.
To be a little less ethnocentric.
The end. Mm-hmm. This is not like this is not like a new Christmas classic. It feels very derivative.
It's a contemporary musical version of A Christmas Carol.
But, I like Ryan Reynolds. Will Ferrell has a lot of, they're both delivering what we expect from them.
Yeah.
Which is good. That's what made them A-list people. So you're definitely getting what you expect. The novelty of Will, Ryan, and Octavia singing, and then Will and Ryan dancing, is enough that it kept me going.
Yeah. I was surprised at how much I liked Octavia's song, The View from Here.
Yeah, that got me emotional, and then the fact that they really do seem to have chemistry.
Yeah, against what you just saying that to like, oh, that won't work, but it does.
And then thinking about Christmas films, we just reviewed Falling for Christmas with Lindsay Lohan and Cord Overstreet, the two of whom did not have any chemistry. So
which should have been called Failing for Christmas.
Yeah, but no, I think that those two have a lot of chemistry.
Tracy Morgan is the voice of Christmas Future, whose name is yet to come.
He doesn't have much to do, but it's effective.
And I like Sunita Mani as the voice as Christmas Past, who has a dalliance with Ryan Reynolds.
But like I mentioned, it took the hour mark when we find out that Will Ferrell's character is like really Ebenezer Scrooge, and then they do a song called Good Afternoon, because we find out back in the 1800s or whatever, Good Afternoon was like an insult, like F off. So then Ryan Reynolds starts singing with a British accent, and it was that moment where I thought, oh, this is what I wanted the film to be. Like, it's kind of kitschy and like pretty adult. That really worked for me. I do want to give a shout out because the dancing, like the choreography in this film, they are going
They
hard.
are dancing their little hearts out.
I don't think I've ever seen a musical where those folks are going in so tough, and like the dancing feels very modern and fresh. So I looked up the choreographer. It's a woman named Chloe Arnold. So good job to her, because again, it's very noticeable.
But that's what kind of gave me the Greatest Showman vibe, is because you see that certain elements of this production are firing on all pistons or whatever. And even though the story is recycled and familiar, and you have some A-listers that are just doing what they do, but everybody else around them is kind of in hyperdrive. The dead woman who, Carrie, his dead sister, who has a child in the fashion of Look Who's Talking, and then drops dead. I'd be so pissed if my sister did that. Like, but that is the director's sister, who's been in many other things, including some of his films. And so, of course, they directly reference A Christmas Carol and Scrooged, which they call that Bill Murray movie. And Bill Murray's assistant that he abuses for the better part of that film was played by Alfre Woodard. And the one thing that I always felt about Scrooge, because I rewatched it a year or two ago, was that there's never kind of a reconciliation with her, that character that he really needs. So I like that they grant Octavia that, at least.
There are a lot of really cute, funny moments, particularly in the second half. And I also wanted to say that I really appreciated that it seems like Octavia's character doesn't dance. She does sing, and I think her singing voice sounds lovely. But Ryan and Will, they're dancing, and I really appreciated that. It seems like they were really trying, like they weren't making a joke of it. And I think they look really good.
Yeah, they look good. And in fact, the one song, is it Irredeemable with Will Ferrell?
Yes, that was a highlight.
Is a highlight because, and it's so simple because all the dancers, it's in the dark, but they all have flashlights
on their hands.
Yeah, but it looked really good.
Yeah, and I know this movie had a bigger budget, but I think half of that went to their salaries. So I feel like the movie looks appropriate for the budget.
And Octavia, because she can see him, but she doesn't quite understand what he is, and so he pulls a fish called Wanda moment where he says his name is Roberto C. Fishman Pratt. She keeps shouting after him, Roberto. There are a couple good lines because Ryan Reynolds calls Will Ferrell a cosmic social worker.
Yeah, I did giggle a lot. So, but. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say. I'm surprised this movie won me over, considering the first hour. In fact, the first hour was so dry to me that I turned it off and went to sleep, and then finished the second half the next day. But yeah, I would definitely recommend it. I think it's really sweet and cute and fun and heartwarming.
Yeah, it's I think what you want a Christmas movie to be. And again, I don't know what kind of legacy this will have in the pantheon of classic Christmas films. But you could do a lot worse, as we have also just seen this week. But
what would you give it? I
think 3 out of 5 is fair.
I would give it 3 out of 5 as well. Anything else?
No.
Hit the thanks button. Listen to our podcast. Bye.